Hi guys! Today I'm doing this look for you, which is my interpretation of Reese Witherspoon's amazing, gorgeous, glowy makeup from the Golden Globes. She's one of my favourite actresses. I feel like she's a really underrated actress. I recently saw her in her new movie Wild. Just awesome. If you get a chance to watch that, definitely go watch it. But I think she looked phenomenal at the Golden Globes. She was wearing this beautiful kind of champagne-y, silvery, almost gold Calvin Klein dress, and her makeup was just so healthy looking but uber glam at the same time. So I have recreated it for you today. Before we get into the tutorial though, I got one little favor I gotta ask you. I'm taking part in FebFast, which means I am going to be giving up alcohol for the month of February in order to raise some money for young people and their families struggling with addiction. It's an awesome initiative. It's been running for 8 years now. They've raised over $7 million for their chosen charities. I really think it's a great cause. I really do enjoy my glass of red wine on a Friday evening, especially when the sun is shining outside. I'll sit out in the balcony and have a glass of wine and just kind of decompress for the week. So I know it is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me, but you would really help me out moral support wise by sponsoring me. I've got a target of $400 that I want to raise for the charity. So if you have 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or however much you want to give me, whatever you can spare, you can do so by donating on my page. I'll leave the link down below. Or if it's something that you would like to take part in, if you want to give something up, I'll also leave the link to the FebFast information. I'll leave that down below. So February is the shortest month of the year. It's kind of the easiest one to give stuff up for. So I hope you take part. I hope you sponsor me. If not, that's cool, but it'd be great if you could. Anyway, if you want to see how to get this makeup look, then keep watching. So the first thing I am going to do is pop on some of the Estee Lauder Face Primer Plus. This is their illuminating base. I've had this for a while. I really hope they still make it. If you can't get this though, MAC Strobe Cream is pretty much identical. So I just want it to give me a nice, luminous, shiny base for underneath the makeup. Next, I'm going to take some of the Laura Mercier Silk Cream Foundation, and this is the exact foundation that was used on Reese Witherspoon. Now, the one that I have is in the colour Classic Ivory, which is a little bit too dark for me, so I'm just going to bring it down into my neck. But it's going to be a little bit darker than my hands and my shoulders, so I'm sorry about that, but I didn't put any false tan on, so apologies. This is a really beautiful foundation though. I really should go and get more colours, like a colour that actually matches my skin. It's quite full coverage, it's quite creamy. Probably better suited to somebody with a normal to dry skin rather than oily like me, because it is quite creamy and it doesn't really set. So it stays creamy on the skin, but it does look beautiful. And you can see it in the pictures of Reese Witherspoon, like it photographs beautifully, and it just makes your skin look very, very healthy. For my concealer under the eyes, I'm going to take a little bit of my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NW20, and I'm just going to pop that on with my fingers. And just bring a little bit around onto my brow bone and right onto that inside corner. So in a big kind of loop around my eyes, but not on my actual eyelid. And then just, with patience, pat it in. I'm going to take a little bit of that concealer on the tip of a Real Techniques base shadow brush, and I have a little red spot there, there, and there, and in that general area. So next I'm going to powder my skin in strategic areas, and I'm using my Laura Mercier translucent finishing powder, and I'm just going to take my Zoeva highlight brush, and I'm after getting way too much on there. Let's just tap that off. I'll just dust the brush into the lid to remove the excess. And I'm using this brush. I love this brush for powder actually, because it's quite pointy, quite tapered, so it's great for getting right under the eyes and setting the concealer under there. And this kind of part of my cheek here, this chubby part of my cheek, that when that catches the light, it doesn't look very nice. It just looks a bit greasy or oily, and the chin as well. And just right through the center of the forehead there. But I'm going to leave my cheeks with nothing on them because I want that kind of freshness. So Reese has got a lot of colour going on in her skin. It's exactly my kind of look. She's wearing a lot of blush and a lot of bronzer. Love those kind of looks. So I'm going to bronze up my skin first with my NARS Laguna bronzer. I'm probably not going to go quite as bronzed as she is because she's like super tanned and looking like a California beach goddess, which I don't really look like. So I'm going to adapt it to suit my skin. So I'm just kind of going around the hairline and onto the top of my cheekbones. Just going to build it up in light layers. And I'm going to do the highlighter next on my skin instead of the blush. And today I'm using MAC's Cream Color Base in Hush. And just using the same brush I used for the foundation, that Real Techniques one, I'm just going to pop it into the product, take off the excess in the back of my hand, and then just very lightly stipple that onto the top of my cheekbones. And it gives a very, very natural but quite strong highlight, which I really like. It's not glittery at all. It just makes your skin look quite glossy. I'm going to put that on my nose too. And then for my blush, I'm going to take this one called Swiss Dot by The Balm. It is a really, really strong coral color. I think it's absolutely perfect with this look. Again, as I said, she had a really, really strong color in her cheek, so it is strong and it's matte, so a little bit goes a long way. I'm using quite a big brush, a bigger brush than I usually would for bronzer, just because I need something quite floppy that's not going to deposit too much product. And I'll just take the brush that I use for the foundation and the highlighter and just go over the top to blend it in and make sure it's not too strong. But you want it to be quite strong, to be honest. And then just one last thing for the skin, I'm going to take some MAC Omega eyeshadow on my face paint brush by Zoeva and use this as contour. Reese Witherspoon has got killer cheekbones. She has incredible cheekbones. So I'm just going to try and fake that a little bit. Just carve that right in at the back of my cheekbone and then kind of push the product upwards a little bit to create the illusion of a killer cheekbone. I'm going to use something slightly different in my brows today. I'm using one of the MAC Velux brow liners in the colour Brunette, and this is actually a gift from Michelle, from Beauty Life Michelle, who's another blogger and YouTuber on here. She's Irish, she lives in Bondi, we have so much in common, and she got this and found it was a little bit too red for her, so that's a good tip if you're looking to get one of these. The Brunette one runs a little bit warm, so I haven't tried it yet, but we'll see. Kind of looks like a chalky consistency, like a pastel in art, if you know what I mean. But let's just see. I don't want my brows to be too strong because the skin is really like bronzed and summery and glowy. And I feel like if I go too strong with the brows, it'll kind of make them look a bit wintry again. So I want my brows to be light and almost like a bit sun bleached. It's kind of difficult to use a light hand with it. A lot comes out because it's quite soft, but it brushes out very nicely. Very unusual product. I'm not sure this is going to be a replacement for my Anastasia one. And I'm just going to take a little bit of my Pro Longwear concealer on my base shadow brush and just flick that through the start, just to soften the brows there and make sure they're not too dark in there. So moving on to the eyes, the first thing I'm going to do is use my Kiko Long Lasting Shadow Stick. This is in 06, and I'm going to use this to plot in kind of the basic shape of the eyeshadow, and this will act as a primer as well because it sets to a waterproof finish. So I'm just going to draw that in pretty much all over the lid and kind of overextend my crease on the outside here and lift up a little bit. And then take a 217 brush, which is almost clean enough, and just use that to soften the edge. With these kind of products, you need to work quite quickly and definitely do one eye at a time, just so that you can blend it before it sets. And I'll bring that under as well. And that by itself is a pretty nice eye. You know, these shadow sticks are just so handy, so quick for creating a quick smoky eye. I'm just going to pop on a very, very small amount, a light layer of MAC's Mylar eyeshadow as my brow highlight. And I'm just using a soft pencil brush so that I get it right up under the eyebrow. So although this colour on the eye is quite beautiful, we do need to warm it up and make it look a little bit more golden, just like Reese's. So I'm going to take a mixture of MAC's Wood Winked and Amber Lights, and I'm literally just like dabbing my brush into each one because I feel like Amber Lights is too orange and Wood Winked isn't kind of golden enough. So just the mixture of those, and I'm going to pop that right over that other eyeshadow stick. And I'm going to do that pretty much on the whole eyelid and just leave a little section out here that I'm going to smoke up with some black eyeshadow in a second. With those same colours, this time switching to that little pencil brush, I'm going to bring that under the eye as well. Again, I'll leave that outside corner free because I'm going to be putting some black colour there. I'm going to take just a little bit of Woodwinked by itself and pop that right towards the inside. That's a little bit brighter. So it'll add kind of a nice highlight on that inside corner. And then I'm just going to take that base shadow brush that I used for the concealer. Just use that to soften, kind of buff away the edge around the inside corner and the lower lash line. So next I'm going to take some of my L'Oreal Gel Eyeliner and my Royal & Langnickel Mini Smudge Brush, which I talked about in my last tutorial, is kind of an unusual shape for an eyeliner brush, but I think it works really well. It's quite thick and it's slightly fluffy, so it's going to work perfectly for this. So I want to create like a smudgy lash line, not really like an eyeliner kind of look, but just like a black smudge. So I'm just taking the excess product off of the brush until I have a fairly dry brush, like there's not really that much eyeliner on there. And I'm going to drag it along the roots of the lashes first. And then I'm going to take a pencil brush, which is totally not clean. Guys, I'm so lazy at cleaning my brushes. And we're gonna smudge. I'm just really softening the line on the inner half, but I'm really like going to town with the smudging on the outside. So it almost smudges up into the eyeshadow. And then we're going to connect that to the lower lash line. And smudge. Next, I'm just going to tightline my top waterline with my Eye of Horus black eye pencil. And then I'm going to curl my lashes with my Tweezerman lash curlers. I'm not going to be doing false lashes for this look, so I'm making sure I'm getting a really good curl there. For my mascara, I'm using the Max Factor Masterpiece Transform, and I am piling this on. I did about 3 coats on my top lashes and just 1 coat on the bottom lashes. And then finally moving on to the lips, first thing I'm going to do is take some MAC Dervish lip pencil, and I'm going to use this to line my lips but also to fill them in with a bit of colour. I'm not going to be overdrawing my lips for this look. And Dervish is just a really lovely natural soft pink. And then for the lip colour, I'm using one of the Inglot AMC lip paints in the colour 65, which is a really beautiful kind of rosy pink. It's natural, but it still has a pop of colour to it. I really, really like this colour actually. It's great for brides. And that's the finished look. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys. This is actually such an easy look to do. It's not very precise. You don't have to be, very dexterous at doing your eyes to get this kind of a look. It's very, very quick to do as well. That was a very quick tutorial to record. I feel like this is going to be my new kind of go-to going out makeup. So I really hope you enjoyed this look. And if you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for tutorials every Monday and Friday. Sorry I missed Monday this week, guys. It was my birthday over the weekend and I took the weekend off and then it just kind of messed up my schedule, so sorry about that. Won't happen again. Well, it might happen again, but hopefully it won't happen too often. And don't forget to check out my blog post for a full list of all the products that I used, and I have a little information thing on the actual makeup that was used by her makeup artist on the day, so I'll have that in the blog post too in case you're curious to know what was actually used on her. And if you're feeling a little bit generous, don't forget to sponsor me on FebFast. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and I will see you early Monday next week. Bye!